r/AskReddit. Other than cheating, what secret do you keep from your so to prevent upsetting them? I know I'm late and nobody will read this, but I have to get it out. I deeply regret adopting our dog. My partner, who has more patience than I do, loves the dog and I just can't. I grew up with dogs and cats, but bounced around during and after college, so I never adopted my own. When we met, we talked about funny names we would give a dog together. We moved into a small apartment together and decided to forego pets until we had our own place because of the extra pet fees and the small size. Last summer we bought a townhouse and finally decided to get a dog. We had both done a lot of research into dogs and pet care, and I had worked in the pet care industry for a time, so we felt prepared. We went to a local shelter and found a beautiful street Bernard. The shelter didn't know a ton about her, but said that she was very calm and sweet and had a low-medium energy level, which was exactly what we were looking for. Decided to adopt, paid the fee, took her home, set her up at a nearby vet, got her food and toys and a leash and etc. Things seemed great. Then she started having uncontrollable diarrhea. We don't have a yard, so we were having to take her outside 1 or twice an hour, every hour. Spent over $1,000 trying to figure out what was wrong and never did, though it eventually cleared up by treating the symptoms. This is unfortunate, but okay, the dog can't control being sick. Then we found out that our sweet, calm gigantic dog has fear and leash aggression. We have to take her for multiple walks a day because we don't have a yard, and she'll bark and snarl and lunge at strangers and their dogs. She attacked most of our neighbors and actually broke a collar charging at 2 of them. So we talked to a behavioral expert and got her a restraining harness. She improves somewhat with a lot of positive encouragement when she's feeling fearful, so we start feeling a little better. Turns out, she seems to be hiding a lot of her warning signs, so she can get treats, and then she'll lose control and freak out. She very nearly bit a stranger when I was walking her one day. I was taking precautions like choking up on her leash and speaking to her in a soothing voice and trying to distract her with treats, and she seemed totally fine. So I relaxed a little, and as soon as I did she lunged at someone and only didn't rip their hand open because they reacted fast enough to jerk away. She's also a bully towards other dogs, trying to steal their treats and toys whenever she's around them. Her behavior off-leash is like a completely different dog, which is good in some ways and extra frustrating in others. Off-leash, she gets along with other dogs and humans, frequently requesting play or pets. But as soon as she goes on leash again, she turns into a barking, snarling monster. It's like she knows what good behavior is, but can't do it on leash. And I know none of this is her fault, but it's so frustrating and stressful. I wanted a dog that I could take on long walks and take to our friends' homes so she could play with their dogs. But I hate walking her because I have to be on high alert all the time or be trying to deal with her aging whenever she sees someone she doesn't like, which at this point is still about 40% of them. I hate being out with her and getting the looks when I'm trying to calm her down and she's snarling and trying to attack people. I hate worrying that she might get away from me and bite someone and then I'll end up with a lawsuit. I almost always just take her to a dog park where I can let her off leash because she's so much better behaved that way, but it sucks because one of the reasons I wanted a dog was as a hiking/walking companion. It also doesn't help that the dog sleeps in 6-hour shifts, then wants to go out or wake us up in the middle of the night. I feel like the only good sleep I've gotten since we adopted her was when we were out of town and a friend was dropping in to feed her and take her out. My partner loves this dog and I absolutely hated him, and I can't tell them. We both stay up quite a bit. I probably sleep a little earlier than him though, usually around half an hour. Some days I probably sleep like hours before him if I'm just not having a good day, like headache or I'm sick. But regardless of when I sleep, on the average I will wake up around 8 or 9. I can wake up sooner without any issue if I have stuff to do, like a 7 AM class that I had last semester. But it's really apparent during school breaks when I don't have a set time to be up and I still wake up early. He tries his best to follow my sleep schedule during the school year so he can be up while I'm driving to school and call me, but during breaks he likes sleeping in with me. I typically can get another hour of sleep in before I have to get up and just have to read or do something. We don't live together and it's long distance right now, so he isn't aware that I'm up early basically every day. I tend to get up and read books, watch shows, watch YouTube videos, or plan out stuff I want to do later. I've told him some days that I've woken up and watched videos, and he gets a bit grouchy cause he wants me to stay in bed and sleep with him. I know that if he was aware I woke up early he would try his best to be up then and not get the sleep he needs. And staying up together is the most undisturbed time that we get together, and I don't want to lose it just because I get up roughly the same time every day, even when we both would want to sleep in. But he may realize that I tend to get up early regardless. Haha. We got a week of just the two of us, one vacation where we just chilled around the house, and almost every single morning I couldn't help myself from waking him up for some morning fun, even after staying up every night with each other. So he may realize that it's my normal, but for now I'll just let him sleep in. Which just realized now, even with my ex, she would get tired and want us to take naps during the day and I would just go along with it and just read or do whatever because I very rarely was able to actually nap. I would try, but sleeping midday had never really worked for me long term. Nothing particularly special or anything, but I tell her I don't need her help with cleaning, when in reality it's just that she's really bad cleaning the kitchen, so I usually do it instead. She's MTF, and her family had specific views of a man's role in the household, so she wasn't taught how to perform a lot of basic tasks when it comes to maintaining the house. I've been able to help her learn how to do laundry, and she does a lot of bulk cleanup, like picking things off the floor and putting them where they need to, but she's terrible at cleaning up in the kitchen. As an example, she doesn't understand how to properly load the dishwasher, usually either only loading in a few pans and plates at a time instead of a full load, or not checking if the last load was already cleaned, and running the same dishes several times. She also forgets to clean up counters, and no matter how often I tell her where things go, everything winds up in the wrong place. Last time I asked for help, she put the knives and soup ladle in with the supplies for my fish tank, which very clearly had no other matching utensils in there. It's also pretty clear that she just tries to cut corners, and things will get done either halfway or skipped entirely. I've tried to gently guide her on all aspects, but there's some sort of barrier I've yet to get past for some reason. I'm hoping I can get through to her one day, because on top of working a full-time job, I have a lot of health issues that make cleaning more than just a chore some days, and I really could use the help. But as she's been struggling with depression and her self-worth, I don't bring it up, because I'm afraid of coming off as nagging and bringing her down by mistake. So for now, the pain of cleaning is my secret. I used to work at a dog daycare when one of them got fleas. S/O has mild OCD and a huge hatred of fleas due to a past experience. I told him, huge mistake. I came home with flea spray ready to spray the apartment, but he wouldn't let me in until I got naked and sprayed my clothes and myself. The spray is for carpet and not safe for skin, and put the clothes in a bag to be left outside. I refused because our apartment is in an open area and I would have definitely been seen by somebody, and we were next to a school. It took a lot of arguing back and forth before he allowed me to stand inside of our doorway to undress, door still open, but at least there was more privacy. I did not spray my skin, but he did make me saturate my clothes in the area where I had been standing with flea spray and put the clothes outside. Then he made me spray the rest of the apartment to be safe. When I was finished, I took a shower and then we headed out to dinner. As we walked out, I noticed I left the cap open on the flea spray and put it back on. I then put on my sunglasses. He looked disgusted at me and said, "You know you just touched that can and then touched your sunglasses, right?" I don't think I said anything because I was holding back tears at this point. When we got to the restaurant, I ran my hand through my hair casually. Again, he looked disgusted at me and pointed out that it was nasty that I touched my hair with the same hand that had touched the can. Silently, I got up and went to the bathroom to wash my hands. I sat on the floor and cried. I composed myself and went back to our table. We were silent. I had put the sunglasses back on to hide that I had been crying. I mindlessly adjusted them and then took a bite of my food. Again he was disgusted. I hadn't washed my sunglasses. He venomously pointed out how nasty it was that I had touched the sunglasses and then my chopsticks. I held it together for all of 2 seconds before breaking down into sobs. I asked him for the apartment keys and he silently gave them to me. I walked home, crying all the way. I laid in bed sobbing for hours. He eventually came home, but didn't come into the room for a while. Eventually he came in and apologized. We both cried. I found fleas on the dogs every day that month, and you bet your ass I didn't tell him. A year plus later we got a cat. She got fleas maybe twice. I managed to hide it from him both times. We are still together, and he's honestly improved a lot in terms of managing his OCD and not being an asshole to me. I still have to walk on eggshells about certain things, but we've had many talks and life is a lot less stressful now that he understands how unrealistic some of his expectations were. TLDR, I don't ever mention fleas to my OCDS/O because he freaks out. NSFL. Several months after we married, my wife had a miscarriage, and she took it hard. Shortly after, I got her a tiny female runt of the litter Sheltie pup to occupy her/love in place of the baby, and she absolutely adored that dog. Actually, we both adored that dog. We had her for several years, until we had to leave her with my folks to move overseas. Wife couldn't stand the idea of our good girl in quarantine for 6 months. My folks took great care of her. Although she was a house dog, they lived on a remote farm with huge fields, woods, cats, other animals, sheep, pigs, wildlife, to chase and play with. Just an all-around good environment for a ridiculously social and instinctive herd dog like her. The way they fed her, I was afraid she would get fat and die too young, but she roamed the farm most of nearly every day, so she stayed strong and healthy, and somehow always managed to eventually get home when called. After about 5 years on their farm, my mother contacted me privately to tell me that, apparently, someone squatting back in the woods of the property skinned our good girl alive, then let her go, skin literally hanging off of her body, still attached at various points, and she went home to my mother's, crying and whimpering as only a little dog in pain can do. My mother saw her first, and asked my grandfather, whose farm it was, to put her out of her misery, so he shot her. I told my mother that I would tell my wife that our good girl was hit by a car, which she obviously was not, and buried in my parents' backyard, which she most definitely was. She and the limited rest of the family agreed to maintain the fallacy. I've never told my wife any differently, and I never will. Edit, NSFL, as advised. Apologies all around. Couldn't stop thinking about this post, so I came back to respond, and I guess get some stuff off my chest. I think I just need more help. I don't ask for much, because my husband is new to this parenting thing. We got married in June and he became a stepdad/instant dad to my 7-year-old daughter. They love each other to pieces. He is an amazing husband and fantastic stepdad. He is also new to this, like I said. He went from a life of bachelorhood, where he could do basically whatever he wanted all the time, to this. He always wanted a family and I can tell our family makes him blissfully happy, but he's still new. He's trying, but he's new. So I still do 90% of the hardest parts of the parenting work, because I don't ask for more. I don't want to upset him. I know he would do it, but it would wear him down if I asked him to do more. He can be grouchy when he doesn't have enough downtime or doesn't get enough sleep, and I need him in a good mood and need him energized so he can do the things he already does, like all the grocery shopping and all the chores I can't get around to because I work full time and he works part time. I'm up right now at 5:30 AM to take my daughter to an event later. He was debating on going with us, but decided late last night that he was going to go ahead and skip it so he could get some sleep. I wanted to say, please, help me. Just volunteer to do this. Say, babe, you sleep. I got this. You get up early all the time. I can do this one day. You need a break. I've been up at 5 AM every morning this week to make sure she got to school on time. But I don't ask, because I know I've had 7 years of practice at this, 4 of those all by myself as a single mom, and he's had 7 months. I know I have it in me to do this and maintain my patience with my daughter and upbeat attitude. but I just wish he would look past how easily I say, hey, it's okay. I got it, and remember how I fell asleep at my desk yesterday, and understand how much I love him, and I'm grateful that he joined our family, and how willing I'm to do anything, absolutely anything, to take care of him and her both. I wish he would see that and step in. Do it gracefully without complaining about being tired. Do it with a smile, so I don't feel bad. So I can see how much he genuinely wants to do this. He isn't lazy. He doesn't dick around playing video games all day. Whatever he can think of, or has the energy to give us, he gives us. So I don't ask for more. I can't ask for more. I don't want to upset him by asking for more. And a large part of me, based on my experiences with this beautiful generous man, trusts that the things I'm wanting and needing will come. One of his former friends tried to get in my pants when we were all attending a party. We were all very drunk and fucked up on substances, and my boyfriend reached a state where he was just unresponsive, sitting by the bonfire with his head between his knees. This is normal for him, and it just means that he needs like half an hour to sober up enough to go home or party some more. I know that communication at this stage is near impossible, so I threw a blanket over him and left him at the bonfire to go dance with a group of girls. While I was dancing, the friend, M, approached me and started dancing with me, which was fine. Me and my boyfriend have loose boundaries, so that's okay to us. After a while we stopped dancing and started just talking. It was all good until M started inching closer to me. And listen, I have a very strong sense of personal space that basically only my BF can cross. So I started backing off just a little. This continued for a while, and then he put an arm around me and started guiding me to the trees, away from the party. I kinda weaseled out of his arm and told him I would go and check on my boyfriend. And then he said, he's too fucked up to even notice you now. Could you maybe forget about him for a while? I was so shocked that I just muttered something and ran away to cuddle up to my BF. Now, this is something that, in other circumstances, I would tell my so. But my BF has pretty low self-esteem, and he often worries that I will find someone better and leave him. We have been together for 4 years now, and I would never do such a thing. I know that's not about trust, rather about insecurity. I have anxiety, and I know he probably can't help it, and it's not something that we ever fight about. I didn't want to worry him more though, especially because this happened in a very tough period of time for him. This is especially because in the past he was worried about this specific friend flirting with me, which, looking back, definitely happened. I just told myself he was being friendly. Soon after that, my boyfriend and M stopped being friends because of unrelated drama. This was about 6 months ago, and during that time M has messaged me like 2 or 3 times, but it was just music stuff. We both are fans of a niche genre, so we sometimes messaged each other news about that topic, with no mention of what happened. He was so fucked up, I feel like he may not even remember this. It was eating at me for a bit. I felt like I was being dishonest to my boyfriend. Over time I have told myself that I did the right thing, and bringing it up now would be very weird, especially because they talk maybe once every 3 months over a joint when my BF visits his hometown. That's really the only thing that I deliberately kept from him. This will get buried, and that's fine. My husband is lazy and suffers from bipolar disorder. He takes no joy in accomplishing or making things. He has done a few things here and there, but mostly wastes his free time playing video games or watching TV, even before his injury. It's gross. It makes me less attracted to him. He will sit in a dirty room for hours and play games. I mean, like, hey, there's cat poop behind you, or a plant that's dumped upside down. We were stupid young stoners when we got together, and I grew out of our lazy mentality, and I feel like he didn't. I watch my other female friends who have partners who are always doing projects or improving their houses with their free time, and I feel like I have a child, not a man. He has an issue with his neck that I have worked on getting him help for 4 years, and I feel like sometimes he uses it as an excuse to be lazy and selfish. If you can sit and play a game for hours, you can play a board game with our kid and myself. I have given him a lot of passes due to his neck, because it obviously really hurts, and due to his disorder, which he has finally taken seriously and started to stay on top of. However, he has persevered through it to go on late night fun trips to the city with friends, but taking initiative to clean the house or make an effort in our relationship, in and out of the bedroom, is too much. I'm now seeing how he is teaching his bad behavior to our daughter. All she wants to do is sit in her room on the computer. We disagree often about how much screen time she should be allowed and how strict we are with her phone. She says that she wants dance classes and I keep doing research and leaving places to call while I'm at work, and once again, if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. I do not want to have to tell him what to do. That's not an equal adult relationship. He has a disorder and I don't, besides the usual anxiety and occasional depression, and I feel like I'm constantly fighting for healthy habits in our house. The secret is that last summer he fucked up hard, I mean real bad, and if he doesn't show a big change in his behavior and initiative after this surgery, for the sake of our daughter I have to tell him that if he didn't change I have to separate at least until he can get himself together. I can't go on feeling like I'm the only one who is thinking ahead / taking care of our family. We have talked numerous times about the changes we hope come once he's fixed, so he is aware and seems to be looking forward to it. However, in the past he has gotten my hopes up and let me down. If he doesn't at least try, I mean really try, to get full-time employment at a better paying job, it's going to be a slap in the face to all of the work that I've done, both for him and our family. It's been 17 years this year and I finally realized after last summer that I wasted a good part of my life with someone that wasn't equally as committed to me / our family and doesn't share the same goals that I do. I love him a ridiculous amount, enough that I stuck it out through all of the horrible crap, yet when I imagined my daughter being treated how he treats me, putting all the stress on, or just sitting inside for the rest of her life, it makes me want to cry. At least now he doesn't scream at me and freak out, but there's still a long way to go to make this an equal healthy relationship. He has made some major decisions / actions in the right direction for which I'm so proud of him, and I really hope he continues. It breaks me to the core to think about not being with him, yet the amount of stress he puts in me isn't fair. I don't want to be without him, but this isn't healthy and it's time to change for the better. I just hope he's committed to actually getting better, both physically and mentally. That he's living in a delusion of sorts, despite being ex-Mormon and hates any form of denial and won't accept anything except 100% reality. Except, apparently, in this case. We were together for a while a bit back, before I finally had it in me to leave, then we ended up back together after a few months apart. But he was emotionally abusive. I had to shape my entire life around him, and if I didn't, then he would threaten me, and sometimes I was afraid he was going to hit me. I was absolutely oblivious to it, but at the time, I knew he was hurting me, but it was always my fault. I have diary entry after diary entry to prove it to myself that it wasn't always my fault, but I can only see that now in retrospect. I also have a therapist working through it with me. The point is, he has hurt me more than anyone in my entire life. When we were together, I tried to kill myself because I was too afraid to leave him, because I was scared I'd be alone for the rest of my life, or if I stayed with him, I couldn't bear that either he doesn't know. But ever since we got back together, he's been really sweet and honestly just fine. But that's just it. He's said so many little things that seem to imply he doesn't realize he was ever emotionally abusive, such as similar situations arising that would been abusive, and me obviously going into lockdown mode, and him asking why I'm acting like this, or him getting upset with me because he was paranoid something was up between us, and he told me that I need to be careful with him because he's really opening himself up and I could seriously fuck him up if I hurt him. Literally all it was is that I came home from work one day, was tired, went to bed early, and told him that I was tired and why, like I always do. I don't know if I even love him anymore, only as a friend, but I feel like there's some sort of innocence about how oblivious he is. Like when two kids are playing in a sandpit and one hits the other with their toy digger but doesn't realize they really hurt the other kid and just keeps playing. I just am trying to figure out if I can live with the knowledge that he really screwed me over in a lot of ways and then completely just doesn't understand. He really was my best friend and someone I truly loved and cherished. But now, I just can't feel the same love for him. I find that I'm blaming myself again. Deep down I think I know I need to just leave, but without him, I really don't have anyone, so I guess I'm just delaying the inevitable. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe the channel.